Director Pablo Larraín charted the full horror of the Pinochet years on his earlier films Tony Manero and Postmortem. With No, he charts the dictator's fall from grace. Gael García Bernal is the young ad executive who sells regime change like so much Coca-Cola. Happiness, apparently, is on its way. Peter, written and directed by Pablo Larraín, who has become one of the great directors, I think.
Well, yeah, I was absolutely gripped by this film from the very first moments of it, really. I found it because I was looking forward to it. I'd seen Postmortem and I thought, is this going to be a fascinating kind of bookend to that movie? That movie was about the Great Crisis, 1973, and the fall of Allende. And this is about the fall of Pinochet, a kind of semi-willed fall. It's being billed because it's about the ad man who worked on the No campaign. That is to say, the referendum that Pinochet rashly called, saying, do you want, yes, me to have another 8 years as president, or no, you want me to step down? It's being billed as this Mad Men thing, but it's not at all like Mad Men. It has this extraordinary simplicity and clarity and directness that reaches out and grabs you from the word go. I was fascinated in this period. I really knew nothing about it at all. It was Chile's Berlin Wall moment, which came 1 year in advance of the Berlin Wall. It was this extraordinary act of hubris by Pinochet, who seemed accidentally to give the world his sort of F.W. de Klerk moment, to sort of hand it over to someone else, clearly thinking that there was this enormous amount of prosperity with the middle and upper middle classes, and there was no way he could lose, absolutely no way. And of course he did lose. It was shot with such simplicity but with such fervour. But I found myself totally absorbed in this movie, and it was very unlike anything I've sort of seen before on the subject, because it didn't seem angry. The whole movie, interestingly, is a repudiation of political anger and an embrace of, I don't know what it is, political success, some kind of quasi-Mandelsonian kind of New Labour success.
It's an embrace of capitalism, which is the thing that Pinochet was trying to bring to Chile anyway, in a kind of terrible bastardised way. Yeah. So it's almost like he's then hoisted on his own petard, isn't it, at the end?
Yes, sort of. But they have this success. They can say, look, we had this success, and we somehow rode the wave of history. We never thought we'd have this wave. We never thought Pinochet would make this terrible mistake. But he has, and we've done exactly the right thing with it.
Peter was saying that it really draws you in, and it does make a great bonus of its weird, tacky 80s quality. I think it was all shot on VHS, and that kind of, it doesn't feel like a historical drama, does it? It feels like you're actually there.
Yeah, it's lovely all that. And the edits are very quick and kind of slightly ugly as well. That all works really well. And it's hard to imagine our country even making such a kind of neat, cute, fast, elegant and sort of unshowy mixture of fact and fiction and all that. I mean, it make an interesting contrast actually with things like Frost Nixon, but also things like Ken Loach's new film, Spirit of 45, which is partly about Churchill's defeat in 45 and how he never thought that, and Attlee's sort of gentle campaign for that.
Presumably these scars are still fairly raw for Chileans. I mean, Larraín has been making films about Pinochet, and apparently his father is a right-wing politician over there, who's quite a senior politician who voted yes.
I found it intriguing because he had that actor who played the anatomist in Postmortem. I'm afraid I've forgotten his name.
Alfredo Castro.
That's Alfredo Castro. Again, he's absolutely brilliant in this too, but he plays the slightly Mephistophelian boss figure who is doing consulting for Pinochet himself. And so there's this atmosphere, weird atmosphere of betrayal. But again, in another sort of film, that would be a huge dramatic deal. And here it's handled in exactly the same low-key way that everything else is handled. And it gives you the impression you've got some window on reality. Of course, you haven't. It's an illusion like everything else. But it's an extremely well-managed illusion.
Aquí inmediato, señor, tiene la